Duperas y duperas today on Dupe by the River. We're gonna look ahead at this upcoming playoff game, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the playoffs as the Philadelphia will host FC Cincinnati on Thursday night. It's gonna be looking ahead at some of the playoff matchups that happened this past weekend. And of course, awards have been announced, and Philadelphia have been nominated, have won some awards here. So, ladies and gentlemen, do not go anywhere because you do not want to miss this episode of Dupe by the River. And let's get it started, guys. Done. Dupe by the River
doesn't do anything well. There is not one.
I'm sorry. There was no creativity.
As a Union fan, I take that all day.
Another DP. We need to go get Mario Balotelli.
And that is right. Welcome, everyone, to Dupe by the River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union. And, of course, we are brought to you by Philly Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, before we dive into today's episode, I want to welcome everybody live here. We're on El Parcero Philly's YouTube channel, and we're also on Dupe by the River Twitter account. Of course, make sure you guys hit that like button here if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe for more of your live viewings of Dupe by the River. And, of course, you can find us wherever you stream podcasts. Find us under Dupe by the River Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my expert in duping, Justin, SOB member at large, elect Friedberg. Justin, what's happening, man? What's going on?
Not much. You know, it's been it was a busy weekend. I was all over the place in the tri-state area. I had one of my best friends got married on Saturday. Absolutely beautiful day, beautiful wedding, all around great time, and went partied as you would at a wedding. And I made the mistake of telling people I would go to Premier League Live Fan Fest the next morning. So I'm just gonna say dumbass. Woke up at 5:30 in the morning to take a shower, get ready, and be on the road by 6 o'clock and get to the train station by 7, and then get in line at 7:30 and get in by just before 9. And yeah, it's I'm not sure I've still fully recovered, but and I'm not sure that this sport may not kill me one day. But hey, you know what? I'm here. I'm still standing. It is what it is, and we got some playoffs to talk about.
Yeah, that is absolutely true, man. And I'm kind of glad you did bring that up. Well, first off, I want to say hello. We got the Finally Conte in the comment section. What's going on, brother? Hopefully you're excited for tomorrow. What's up, Elijah? I'll be in section 135. We'll be at 139. So, Elijah, you say hello to us. Let's go Union and Dupe on, of course, as always, Elijah, as always. I did want to touch upon that, Justin, because the Fan Fest was a great turnout, right? And here's my thing. You know where I'm going with this. I know people like you and I know people like Tim will show up to these events and still show up on Thursday and root on the Philadelphia Union. But it's just the amount of fans that were there who arrived at 5 in the morning to Chelsea, who do this every single weekend, or just a Premier League team in general. Like I'm at the stance where that is great, but I don't see how these type of events help the growth of our sport in the country. And so that's kind of where I was at with it. It was cool to watch. And I think for myself, the dopest part about it was obviously seeing our friends, Christian, Alexis, getting all, dude, they were all-stars. They were all-stars.
Dude,
that week. They deserved it.
I actually I actually got, a chance. I didn't, unfortunately, when I Christian, I was texting Christian. Christian was like, "Oh, where you at?" I'm like, "Well, I'm kind of like I wish I was like, well, stuck." And then I'm like, "No, I'm over by the signed poster." And unfortunately, that was the moment Alexis decided to take a bathroom break. But no, I saw Christian walking up, and honestly, it was he couldn't believe it. I was with him. I was like, I told people, like, people didn't believe me. I'm like, yeah, like, I know the guys that are emceeing this event. It's I was absolutely happy for them. They killed it all weekend from what I heard on Saturday, and when I was there on Sunday, I could tell they were doing great. It was a wonderful time. I've thought about initially I was in that camp of, oh well, these people will show up to this, but not going to show up on Thursday. And then I think I've reached a point though where I just don't give a fuck anymore. Like these people that are showing up to these events and doing this and doing that, if they're not going to show up to a Union game at this point, I don't care. Like there's enough that like I know I actually saw more Union gear at that event than I thought I would. Like surprisingly, I was impressed with the amount of Union gear that I saw around there. So that was at least a somewhat positive. But yeah, at this point, I'm not gonna lose sleep trying to convince these Euro snobs to come watch an MLS game. Like if they're not going to support their local team, but they'll wake up at 7:30 to go watch Everton Newcastle 0-0 draw. I don't know what to tell. Like it is what it is at that point. I don't think you're going to change their mind at this point in time.
I'm with you there. I'm with you. At the end of the day, for me, it's about growing the sport in the country, and that's kind of where I was at with it. Sean C. throwing a comment in the comment section. First off, what's going on, Sean? Thanks for tuning on in. It was more disappointing that the crew didn't mention. I'm assuming he's mentioning the NBC Sports crew. Didn't mention the Union when talking about current Philly sports success, and that was the day after they had Paxton on.
I mean, they did mention it on at least on Friday. When they had Mike Tirico on.
They had Mike Tirico on.
Yeah, because they were doing the NBC football night in America stuff from Dilworth Park.
True.
So I know I heard it, or at least I heard it on Sunday. Like I know they mentioned it. Now they could have mentioned it a little more, but yeah, I mean, I think they know who their audience is at that point.
Absolutely, man. And look, in Premier League, the product kind of sells itself, right? I mean, it's really good quality. It's probably the best quality of soccer as far as a domestic league goes. So it's going to sell itself. But they've especially NBC. I think the partnership of NBC really taken them to the next level because obviously in America, you sprinkle in this Premier League game day stuff or Fan Fest, sorry, and it's really helped bring the league to another light. I did see kind of like the stations they had with some of the legends of all these Premier League clubs that are currently there. That was pretty cool. Seeing the Brendan Aronson poster, that was pretty dope as well. This new LUFC shirt that the Union have as well, which is kind of dope. I kind of want one.
Yeah, although I will say I feel like maybe Dilworth Park wasn't the perfect.
They wanted the aesthetic, you know that.
I know, like. In reality, I think like the Parkway would have been better because there's plenty of space over on the Parkway. And I know at a certain point, like I got in just before 9. And I know at a certain point, I mean, it was basically they could only let so many people in and then they'd have to wait until people left. And I know at a certain point they stopped letting people in until now. A lot of it cleared out after the 9 o'clock games on Sunday, and Sunday games were better. But yeah, like I felt like Dilworth Park, while it was great and you're around City Hall and all that, it just felt like maybe they could have picked a better spot. Yeah, I don't know. That was just me. Like I knew it wasn't. Yeah, I would have initially said like the Navy Yard, but like with the Eagles game on Sunday, there was no way in hell you were picking, all that in South Philly, and I know there's only so many open air spots in the city, but. It could have been a little better, at least in terms of location.
Premier League's got money. Y'all can shut down Parkway for a couple hours. Y'all can do that.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like you really could have kept it closer to, the art museum, and they felt like no one really, like. I mean, they have a pretty once things are shut down around the art museum, they don't have to go terribly far up, and. I know there's that side road around the area where they don't really people drive. I think it was the Kelly Drive or whatever that.
Yeah.
Like you could use all that area. Like listen, there's so much area you could use over there. So I don't know. I mean, I think I had a good time. It was fun. I was exhausted. I think I got back around like 3 o'clock, and I'm just like, man, what a weekend, what a time. But no, it was fun. I for the novelty of it, I am glad I went.
And just to kind of piggyback off into a look in our league, that is the type of stuff, Justin, I want to see Apple TV kind of implement, because you can create a whole broadcast and a whole production out of it. Pick the biggest match of the week, El Tráfico. Yes, you put up your crew, you set them outside Bank of California or whatever they're calling down in Carson, California. You set up your stand, you put fans around it, you give people what the atmosphere looks like. You saw what the atmosphere was, and it's clear that the Premier League love is alive here in the States with every city that they visit. And I hope that Apple TV takes notes as they prepare for their year one of broadcasting.
Oh yeah,
our league.
it was a great time. I was very close to the wrestler Sheamus. Holy shit, that man is an Irish tank. Like TV doesn't do like sells him short. That man is a walking Irish muscle. Like it is ridiculous. I looked over and I'm like, it's pretty easy to spot because spiky orange hair with his fish hair, and I'm like, that's Sheamus. I'm like, I was gonna walk over and I'm like, nah, no, I'm like, but holy shit, he's fucking. I mean, I know he's a wrestler and he's ripped. I'm like, damn, like he's a big man.
Justin, and another highlight of the weekend was the cheesesteaks. Obviously, you had our own Danny Higginbotham goes, Gino's a solid steak, and everyone's just booing him. They're ripping him up on Twitter. And then
good, because listen. Yeah, Danny married a Philly girl. He should know that Geno's and Patch are the touristy spots. Come on.
maybe we should have done like a our live episode with Danny Higginbotham at a cheesesteak joint, because
bring him to Gitano, one of the Gitanos in South Jersey, and be like,
there you go.
Here's a real cheesesteak, all right?
That's much better than Gino's, that's for sure. So great time down at FanFest, and a great showing for the love of the sport here in America. And with that being said, of course, it was a bunch of fireworks this weekend in the MLS Cup playoffs. We'll run through the scores real quick. And so you had on Saturday, our next opponent, Cincinnati, took care of the New York Red Bull 2-1. LA Galaxy taking care of Nashville 1-0. And then on Sunday, you had a little bit of the surprise. RSL up 2-0 for a majority of the match. They go down 10 men, and Austin come back and then win this bad boy in PKs. Sets up a great second-round showdown. Montreal took care of business against Orlando, as we all expected that to happen. And then on Monday, surprises. NYCFC in Citi Field take care of the Gonzalo Higuain in his last match with Inter Miami. They win 3-0. And then, of course, FC Dallas in Minnesota with the draw goes into PKs. FC Dallas win on a Velasco Paneca. The gumption, the absolute gumption to
kids got balls. Kids got brass cojones, as they would say.
So, Justin, your takeaway from the first round is what, sir?
That Red Bull fans must be pissed at their leadership for not buying a quality striker. Like,
they had plenty of time too.
Like Lewis Morgan, 100% was an amazing pickup.
Great pickup, yeah.
But out of his 14 goals, 6 of them were PKs, and like Luquinhas dropped off the face of the earth second half of the season.
That's true.
You had young kids coming through, and Elias Manuel was not really going to be the guy. Maybe as a second striker. Klamala, I don't think has really. I think it's been a straight up bust for most of his time in MLS.
Yeah,
and I don't think it was going to help. I think they still have some decisions to make. Cincinnati took advantage. I mean, Red Bull's defense was susceptible, and they pounced on 2 goals in 15 minutes. Like, it happens. I watched the RSL game in full. If they don't go down to 10 men, I mean, Rubio Rubin, that was the dumbest decision, like, to go in that slide. Like, you were not winning that ball, and that's what got you the second yellow. If they don't get that, I think they pull out that game. I don't think Austin looked that good. Now, I know, Driussi, stepped up when he did, and, Brad Stuver made the saves, and I'm not thinking they played well at that point, but they were up a man for almost 70 minutes, and they could barely pull it together. So I think on the other side, FC Dallas, I think FC Dallas looked pretty good on the road. I think they might be able to pull it out. I have them going to the Western Finals.
Austin scared, Justin. Austin scared.
I was surprised that the Galaxy won. I
Yes,
do
me
love
too.
that it sets up an El Trafico. I think either way, I had Nashville going to the West Finals. I think either team would upset LAFC. I just don't have confidence in LAFC. I know we talk about the Union having that break, but LAFC did not really look that great in the last 2 months of the season. And so it kind of like the Galaxy are exactly the team that could come into there and shithouse their way to another 1-0 victory. Like it legitimately and absolutely could happen, and I could absolutely see it happening. It will make for an interesting game. Hopefully, by the time I get home, whenever I can get home from that game, from the game tomorrow, be able to catch some of it. But the first round definitely wasn't all that surprising at the results. I mean, there really technically were no upsets. I mean, I guess Nashville was a 5 seed. That might be the only not like upset in terms of you thought maybe the Nashville could pull it out.
Get
But outside of
Mukhtar a
that-
striker, please.
But outside of that, everyone that won that you thought would win won. Like I don't think it was too all that shocking.
To me, the NYCFC one was a little bit shocking. I thought that would be the upset. But regardless, I mean, a win, not so much a surprise, but it's the way they kind of won. And on Higuain's final match, think about this. One of the most decorated strikers of the game, all time, finished his career in City Field on an ugly rainy night. That's just a terrible way to go out, Justin.
I mean, listen, it's exactly the way a man who thought he could walk into this league and smoke some cigarettes and on the beach. Like I think he had a decent career, but the attitude he had going in and for the first season and a half, he was crap. He was injured. He didn't play well, and I love that somehow he'll probably win comeback player of the year.
Oh my God.
This year, like I still don't understand how he's nominated just because he was fat, lazy, and injured. That doesn't make for a comeback. That just makes someone who got their head out of their own ass. I don't know. I think it's a fitting end for a man who rode the coattails of a lot of people. To think he was better than he was. He was a decent player.
Yeah.
One might say good player, but like outside of his years at Napoli, like he rode the coattails of some pretty good players.
And
with that Argentina side, I mean, listen, everyone rides Messi's coattails. Like I think that's kind of how it is down there. It is what it is. It was a fitting end for a man who is a overall so player.
Yeah. Real quick, Justin.
Much of an impact on this league.
Real quick, are you concerned at all with NYCFC? Considering
no,
history?
like people are like, oh wow, they haven't lost a match since the Campeones Cups. Like, great, they played Inter Miami again on a different baseball field. They have to go to Montreal.
Yeah,
Montreal didn't look amazing. I think
great atmosphere too in Montreal.
Oh yeah, I think the Stade Saputo will be rocking. I think they definitely will want to shore things up because Orlando really could take advantage. While the Ismael Kone goal was great, I think they were holding on for a while until that PK came about. Like they were absolutely holding on for dear life. And while NYCFC has been playing amazing, Eber has kind of started to figure it out. I mean, I think they're playing better than the sum of their parts at this point. And I don't know. I'm not worried. Again, especially the Union fans at home. Like we can handle them at home. And again, we won't have a knock on wood, unless something else like last year we were a COVID outbreak away, and even then we still almost beat them.
Yeah,
So like
that's a good point.
I think it's people are people are getting worried about Cincy. People are getting worried about NYCFC. It's like if you advance as far as you can, you are at home the entire time in the East. Like
It's true.
I will take. I've always said, I love our chances at home because the Sub is a fortress.
Especially when you got the orange hat in the sub as well. But Ivan, I want to say congrats. We hope to see you there, man. Enjoy your time out there. It's going to be a rocking one, and I hope you're ready for it. Mike, it's playoff time. That is correct, sir. So get up. How about Jay Wright getting us all hyped up here today? Dude, I was ready to run through a wall.
Yeah,
Literally.
I was about to run through the wall in my apartment, man.
And I'm a Temple guy, so.
Oh, I laugh like I'm currently watching my parents' dog while they're on vacation. In fact, she's curled up right over out of camera shot, and like I kind of made some noise. She kind of like jumped up, and I was like, oh, whoops! I was like, a little early to be to have Jay Wright get me this hype.
Dude, seriously, man. Seriously. Sean, if the Union ever give up a goal like FCC's winner, then I'll eat my seat in section 122.
Yeah, that winner was bad. Like, yeah, I don't think the Union are going to give up that bad of a like. I mean, it's the Red Bull, man. That's how they are. Like, calamity of errors. They brought them to themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. What's up, Brian? Thanks for tuning on in here tonight, man. Let's go Union. Let's effing go, brother. Sean, personally, I thought it was more shocking how Miami looked than how good NYCFC played. I think it's just they're a pesky team with playoff experience, and that I think that's kind of what it is. Just to be honest with you, last year I thought last year's team was obviously solid and it was a good team because they won the MLS Cup, but I really felt like a lot of it had to do with Tati Castellanos and, of course, the luck of the draw. What's up right now?
And COVID.
Yeah, luck of the yeah, exactly. PJ, wearing my Union stuff tomorrow. School get pissy, but I don't care. PJ lives in a Cincinnati area. All right, so there we go, man. I love the soccer.
Listen, they come off of 3 wooden spoons, and all of a sudden, they draw us here and they beat us on the road, and they win one playoff game against a very suspect Red Bull team, and it's like they're getting real high and mighty. And I mean, listen, I don't clap back at any of that because I don't have the time nor the bandwidth or the patience for it. But like,
or you'll get blocked by Cincinnati fans if you do.
But like, listen, they can use those the wooden spoons to eat their skyline, like.
Pretty much. All right, Justin, before we dive into the match, I never want to talk about it. I think we need to talk about the awards that were announced today. We had a couple announced, not the MVP guys and the coach of the year, so you got to wait for that. But Justin, I want to start off with your favorite position. The goalkeeper of the year, as no surprise, was awarded to Andre Blaken. And Justin, this wasn't like anywhere near of a competition. Like Andre literally ran away with this award, and there should be no surprise. But kudos to Petrovic and Calendar, right?
Yeah, like I would have been insanely surprised if either Calendar or Petrovic. I still have a bone to pick that Petrovic got it with this very limited sample size. Like that part annoys me. But yeah, I don't think it was, it was going to be any, there wasn't any doubt who was going to win it. Like the thing I kept hearing people say to have him not win it was, oh, well, his defense was really good. It's like, yeah, but like having a really good defense and also being a really good goalie doesn't detract from you being a really good goalie. It just means that the amount of 10 bell saves and ridiculous moments you're gonna have are not going to be as frequent. And watching I was watching the video MLSsoccer.com put together for Andre Blake and best saves, and I'm like, like there were some, that were just absolutely insane. The one in Nashville, I was there, was like, holy shit. Like some of them were just, like some of them were insane, and some of them were just like, yeah, they're pretty good. And like most of the time, it's like, yeah, your defense, and then the glass in this video is like, okay, is there a reason why? Like, yeah, your defense was amazing. It was the best MLS. The defense in the league. It was, they gave up the fewest goals, 26 in a 34 game season. Like, why is having a really great defense gonna detract from someone winning a goalkeeper award? Like, there were moments where Andre Blake had to bail out the defense, but that was for few and far in between. And I think if you look at it from the context of the history of the Union and history with Andre Blake, there were many a year where Andre Blake literally stole us multiple games, multiple points. Like, that was what happened. But I think these days you don't have to do that. You have an insanely good back line, and it helps that your goalkeeper is just an absolute machine.
Absolutely, man. And it just kind of just shows you, where the state of the goalkeeper position is in the league. I mean, Andre Blake is literally it right now when it comes to that position. What I mean, obviously it was tough to watch Nashville. But what happened with Joe Willis? I mean, he was in this conversation at this point last year.
I think everything with the team, like, they were kind of middling, and honestly, I think like his performance in LAFC was phenomenal. I mean, he stole that game for Nashville. Yeah, I feel like he should have been in there over Petrovic. That's like, I don't think he would have won it, but I think he should have been definitely in the conversation. He had a pretty good year.
Also, I'm not hearing a lot from Orlando this year when it comes to Pedro Gaesa. It's interesting, Justin.
It was quiet because when he plays in a little tournament, but where have we heard that one before?
All right. With that being said, we also had the Defender of the Year, which no surprise, a Union defender won it, but Jakub Glezis won it. Not as landslide-ish like Andre Blake, but I mean, he won it.
It was a pretty sizable margin,
like,
comparatively,
and deservingly so. I mean, he should have been either Elliott or Glezis, honestly. But Glezis to me has been such a rock, and obviously that shot is disgusting. But I mean, the dude continues his MLS legacy. He's going to be one of the best when it's all said and done, dude. I truly believe that.
Yeah, like I know people said, like, I've seen Union fans who were like, oh well, Kai Wagner did a lot on the offensive side. I'm like, yeah, but it's Defender of the Year, and Jakub Gleznis is the better defender. Like,
Agreed.
Defender of the Year isn't about offensive stats. And they're both part of an amazing back line, but I think, listen, if Jack Elliott's nominated, I think Jack Elliott wins it. But because he wasn't, I think Jakub Gleznis was the clear, at least to me, made more sense. And listen, I think people are going to interpret that award how they want, but I think at the end of the day, offensive stats should not be the determining factor. And I know I kind of contradict myself, but like, looking at it, it's like, I don't think that the offensive stats should be the contributing factor for why a defender wins Defender of the Year.
Absolutely, man, and it's great. You got and Jim always talks about how with good team play comes individual accolades, and it's still important because it shows what is happening down in Chester is working for sure, man.
But hey, and I don't know if you saw the video from the Union, but Tyrese Maxey, I mean, a boy, he loves the Union. He loves
Philly sport.
Yeah, did a little congratulation video for Andre and Yaka. But hey, listen, I genuinely do love that now. Like, I think it's the younger players. It's the fact that soccer, like, in these generation of athletes, is a bigger thing. I love all this, this cross sports love, and
yes,
the Union have been left out for a while, but they've finally been included in it. I love it. I've been loving this, and I love, seeing Jay Wright. I love all this stuff. It genuinely makes it finally. It's like not that we made it, but it's like hey, they're acknowledging that we're a good team and that they want to work with us and stuff like that. Like I love it. So I was happy to see Tyrese Maxey do a little love for Dre and Jakob.
There will never be a more infamous cross sport moment than Carlos Ruiz of the Union and Carlos Ruiz of the Phillies taking pictures with their jerseys. That was a great moment in cross sports history. Kareem Benzema is the MVP. All right, right now, fine, but can he score past Andre Blake? Yo, how about the what was that? The Ballon d'Or. His outfit looked just like Tupac's. Did you see that picture?
Yeah. I'm not surprised from Benzema. That is definitely a.
That's Benzema-ish.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely his attitude. I'm not terribly surprised.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. It's that freaking time. It's time to look ahead at our first playoff match of the 2022 season. I'm getting butterflies just thinking about it because here we are. Like we've been waiting for this moment all season long. We know the Union are good. We've known the Union have been good over the past couple seasons, but it's been about getting over the hump and getting to the MLS Cup. Last year that obviously sucked. We talked about it earlier. COVID ruined our year. We should have won the MLS Cup last year, but you can't control what already happened. What you can control is what's coming up next. And for the Union in their redemption tour, it's not an easy first test. It's FC Cincinnati. We know this team. This team beat us, probably gave us one of the worst losses of the season besides Charlotte shenanigans, which we're not going to talk about. It's the regular season. But this is obviously a tough test. This is a foe that knows you very well because of who's on the other side. And so that's what makes it very interesting. But we're going to hope that because of the home pitch advantage that we have, that'll be the difference. Justin, for you, man, what for you is the biggest key here for the Union, and what are you looking for in this matchup here for the blue and gold?
I think there's two big factors that will, if the Union can take advantage of both, they will win this game. The first one, again, it's at home, but I think the matchup between El Brujo and Lucho Acosta. On the road, Lucho did kind of pull him out of position and set the pace. At home, Lucho was kind of non-existent. So I think the home field advantage will play a factor. That's definitely the first part. The second part, and the more I've been looking into the way that Cincinnati have been playing, so they play in a 5-3-2 with three center backs. The fullbacks on either side both do get pretty high up, so it kind of morphs from a 5-3-2 to a 3-5-2, depending. The biggest thing for me is going to be the Union using their speed to their advantage against the three center backs. So the three center backs that they've been using at this point are Nick Hagland, Jeff Cameron, and Matt Mianska, who have done a decent job to this point. But neither of them are particularly pacey. And I think if with a nice ball over the top from either El Brujo, based on reports, it looks like Ale will be on the bench, but won't be fit enough to start. So I obviously see Jack McGlynn coming in there. Jack McGlynn, it's a pretty good habit of pinging balls over the top. Daniel Gazag also has that habit. And Mikel Ua and Julian Carranza both have the ability to get in behind. And Cincinnati has a young rookie goalkeeper in Celentano. I think they can absolutely put him to the test with that back line. It's not going to be a blowout. Listen, I think this game's going to be close. But I think the Union can absolutely take advantage of the fullbacks for Cincinnati getting higher up the field and the center backs not exactly having much pace. If the Union can limit the presence of Acosta and their D mid, who also when he signed, he'd become kind of a force of nature for them and definitely did a lot in that June matchup. I think the Union will absolutely have the lion's share of chances, and it wouldn't surprise me if I believe they're going to win. But I think if they can truly, get in behind and create havoc in that back line, stretch them thin, I think it's going to be a long day for that Cincinnati defense.
I agree with you. I think to me, I kind of like want to look at what Jay Wright talked about in that hype video, right? Talking about the midfield and talking about how it's a bruising midfield, right? Alley is a big part of that. It's a big part of what they do, and it's not kind of what he does tactically, but what he does mentally. He's the anchor of this team in general, but especially in that midfield. To me, that is really the key. I'm not worried about this back line because I really do feel kind of what you saw last year in the playoffs. The back line they took their game to another level. You literally could not score on that defense in general, and I think that's going to happen again. But midfield to me is the key because when you're talking about the diamond, it's so important, and Ali was a big part of that. Now, Jack, I do believe will continue contributing with the attack, but to me, the important part is Leon, and of course, it's El Brujo Martinez, and more so Brujo Martinez, Justin, because you talked about the matchup with Luciano Costa. There's been talks this year about El Brujo Martinez being the best number 6 in this league. If that's the case, you know what the best number 6 in the league does? He shows up in the first playoff game and shuts down Luciano Costa because of what he did to him in Cincinnati earlier in the year. To me, the biggest key player in this match is El Brujo Martinez because I know what Gazek's going to give me. I know what Carranza and U are going to give me. It's the playoffs. This is what these type of players are built for. But El Brujo Martinez, it's such a big factor to shut down Acosta. Brenner and Vasquez had a great season. And if they get the passes from Costa, he could put the ball where they need it to happen. But again, I really do feel like Glesnes and Ellie could take care of both of those players. It's up to Brujo Martinez to make their job easier. And to me, I think that Brujo Martinez has to have the biggest statement match out of any of the 11 here on Thursday night, brother.
Absolutely, I think that's the thing is like if you look at the matchup, at home, Brendan Vasquez. I mean, like he kind of got it was a lucky bounce. Like he kind of got a hell of a play. Like him and Brenner were pretty non-existent, and so with Lucha, like I think that moment showed what Brujo can do in shutting down. I mean, the play came off of a free kick and kind of a broken play. It shows what Brujo can do, and I think people will look at the road game. He didn't play well. Road Union and Home Union are definitely two different teams. The way it's been, and but like that's the thing at home. I think Jim's got just say to Brujo like, what he did to you last game, but what you did in the home game. Play within yourself. Don't get stretched out, and allow the read the game as. I mean, he has a great football IQ. He can read the field well, and that's why he's one of the best in this league at breaking up plays and starting the counterattack.
Yes,
but he just has to make sure that he picks his times right. Because if you don't, Lucho will get around you, and then that's where he breaks on the defense, and that's where he can be stretched.
And I love how he does get under players' skins. It's when he doesn't know how to control himself, and that's one. If Brujo can master that, dude, he's gonna be the player you just don't want to play against. Essentially, he's already tough as it is, but I mean, when you're talking about such a mental game that is the game of soccer, I mean, it is definitely a big part of it. But Ali, I mean, I can't explain how big of a blow that is, Justin. Thoughts is he comes off the bench, which, I mean, if you still get 30 minutes of Alejandro Bedoya, that is big. But I mean, I think long term, my concern is bigger than just this game Thursday.
I think you're kind of see it's gonna be a week to week if they advance. If you do advance, the conference final isn't until the 30th. So your hope would be with another week and a half that at that point he could return to full training. I know he was training on the side and doing some running and all that, and I think that's why Jim feels confident that he can come out off the bench if he need him to. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Like the thing that Ali brings isn't even like the defensive awareness or his runs into the box. It's his football IQ. He knows how to direct that midfield. He knows how to get his team to rally around. He's the heart of that midfield, emotionally, and in terms of a leader. Like it's it is what it is, but I'm confident that as Jim's always said, next man up. Jack McGlynn, we know he can step up. I'm saying, you know what? Let the kid ball. We know what he can do. I think he has potential to really open this game up, and I think he could be an X factor.
Absolutely. Sean saying I'm way more nervous about tomorrow than I was for Red Bull or Nashville. Maybe because of the thought of losing to a FCC team that's deep in Philly flavor would sicken me. I mean, they know you. I mean, they pretty much are you. So I mean, that to me is not too much surprise.
I mean, they're a more the Union have never played in a 5-3. Listen, I think the Philly-ness thing is, I mean, it's a joke obviously because Albright was here, Noonan was here. You have Sergio Santos, Ray Gaddis,
List goes on.
Powell. Like you have some players, yeah, but like the Union never played in a 5-3-2. They never like. The Noonan, that's a very defensive team. I know they have Luciano Acosta. I know they have Brenner. I know and Vasquez. I know they were playing well, but they're not really an offensive minded team. And I think the Union that are playing now are much different than I think either team was. In that stretch, like the Union have kind of evolved their game over the season, and it I see people keep worrying. It's like, oh, Noonan has our number. First of all, Noonan doesn't have our number. Like, okay, yeah,
it's one season,
a loss and a draw. Like, okay, like I think people are making a lot more of this than it is. Like, first off, we're fucking home. We are literally undefeated at home. We the place will be rocking, and as the Jim and as the players said, that gives them a massive confidence boost. I think they're going to come out from the start, and I think they're going to take it to Cincinnati. I'm not worried. Yeah, would it suck at those at home? Yeah, it would feel like a disappointment, but I'm not going into this thing like, oh my god, I'm so worried. It's like, yeah, always there could be a little nerves. It's a fucking playoff game. It's one and done. That's how it is in the playoffs.
Let's go straight. If the Union lose tomorrow, it's not anything to do with Cincinnati. It's the fact that this team is supposed to be playing in the MLS Cup. That's the disappointing part of it. But I get it. And I wouldn't really call them rejects. It's not like, if anyone's watched Little Giants, I know I'm going really back far in the 90s here, but if you're watching Little Giants, it's not like the Cowboys and the Giants, a bunch of rejects from the Cowboys team. It's yes, I get it. You do have Sergio, you do have Ray Gaddis, Alvis Powell. But, it's because they're trying to build a culture, and it's obviously, it's a copycat league, just like every other league in the United States. You're trying to create what the good teams are doing, and that's all Albright and Noonan have been doing over at Cincinnati. And to be honest, obviously, it's worked. They're in the playoffs for the first time in there. This is first time. First time in there. I'm thinking of the MLS's back tournament. But yes, I wouldn't call them the rejects. What's up, Brian? What's going on, brother? Philly to Skull Drag Cincy tomorrow night.
I don't know about that. I think it's going to be a tense affair. I don't see. It's going to be a 2-goal margin at most. I can't see it any more than that. It just doesn't feel likely.
Absolutely, man. Right now, you better put Brujo Martinez in the match.
You have to. I like. If Ali was in, even if Ali wasn't, if Ali was in, I think Brujo is that your bruiser. You need him to break up that midfield. It's going to be a 6 versus 6 matchup. Cincinnati's 6 is exactly what we have with Brujo. and I think it's going to be that matchup, which CDM can really which can bring up the flow and really give his team that boost.
Absolutely. Could you imagine if Noonan pulls out the Christmas tree tomorrow? Little throwback.
So
from
I guess
last year.
like Brenner would play next to Lucho. I just you would have to take out Brenner or that doesn't make sense. It'd be wild as all hell. But yeah, and Vasquez is low key quicker than he looks. Like for a man who's that big,
Dude, he's a beast.
He moves a lot faster than people think. I will give him that much. Like there were times people were like, "Holy shit!" Like Brendan Vasquez is flying down the field. It's like, yeah, like he doesn't look like he should be that fast for a big man, but he's got some pace.
Absolutely. Sean's got another one of my points I wanted to bring up. Listen, Daniel Gazak, 120,000% got snubbed of just an MVP nomination, one of the final nominees. And I really do feel like he's about to make a statement.
Oh,
and obviously, you saw the quotes today.
Yeah. Listen, I saw that quote, and all my thought was, oh, Cincinnati is not prepared.
The league effed up.
Because when Daniel Gazdag is a man on a mission, and he's been for pretty much the whole season, he's a dangerous man. He ain't afraid to shoot it. He can lay off the ball. He has an insane chemistry with Carranza and Uwa. Daniel Gazdag pissed off is a bad sign for the rest of the league, and especially tomorrow for FC Cincinnati.
It's like Reese Hoskins. When Reese Hoskins plays pissed off, man, you ain't striking him out. That's for sure. And that's the same as I'm watching Reese Hoskins hit a home run. But yes, I agree. Listen, I think Gazak is about to go on there. And you know what else wouldn't surprise me, Justin? Look, Michael Uwa has been great this season, right? And I think that a lot of people don't see what happens within the trenches because his off the ball has been spectacular and has created so many goal opportunities. But I could really see him just turning up and dominating the playoffs, dude, because he has the ability to take over matches. He just hasn't done that this year because of just the Union playing great team ball.
That's the thing. I think his ability to make these direct runs. This is what I've been saying for years. This was last year. The Union were missing a striker who can make those direct runs. Both him and Carranza know how to make those runs. And the thing is, Uwa times his runs to perfection. Mm-hmm. He knows how to get on the back shoulder. I mean, I believe it was the goal. It might have been against Houston where he kind of curves along the back line and Ali picks him out and he just vaulted like he picked a perfect time and he timed it exactly perfectly. And the run was directly at the net. Unlike in the past, Mikael Uwa is a striker that it doesn't put his head down, but he's got that breakaway speed enough to where the defense isn't catching him, and he's clinical in front of the net. He's been putting the ball away when he gets one-on-one with the goalie. He's putting the ball away, and I think especially if this happens, and if Daniel Gazdag is playing as a man possessed, which I think he will come tomorrow, Mikel Uwa and Julian Carranza are absolutely going to be the beneficiaries. And that is going to spell dangerous for that Cincinnati back line if Mikel Uwa keeps getting in behind. Because if they start, creeping back, if you give Daniel Gazdag that space, he's going to rip it. Like, you can't, there's going to be that downside. And I think it's going to be an interesting test. The Union front three versus that Cincinnati back line is absolutely going to be one of the matchups besides Lucho versus Brujo that I'm looking at and seeing in that first, 15 to 20 minutes, which unit is really establishing, setting down the pace.
I really want to see, because I don't think that FC Cincinnati has anything that can slow down Kai Wagner. I would have the attack go through the left-hand side a lot on tomorrow night. Alvis Pal,
I go at Jeff Cameron. I think between the three of them, I'd go after Jeff Cameron. Jeff Cameron absolutely does not have pace. And I mean, Matt Manscott isn't neither center back is pacey. That's the thing. But in terms of the three, Jeff Cameron, if he gets beat, is not catching up. And again, if your outside backs are higher up the field, that's going to be a problem for that back line. Like,
Yeah.
I'm curious how like conservative of a defense does Noonan play? I know he likes to get forward, and he's like, oh yeah, well he played Red Bull and they play similar styles to the Union. Not really this year. Like, it's been a bit different. So I don't think you can go into you can't go into this game with that same mentality, because they'll get burned if they try to play it the way they did against Red Bull, because the Union are a better team than the Red Bull. It's sure and sweet of it.
This is facts. Sean's got the quote from Gazdak. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw I wasn't in the top 5. My personal goal in the playoffs will to prove the voters wrong. I just got chills reading that. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is an interesting question, Justin. Ryan wants to know. He states Gazdak to Europe after CCL, and he's calling it now.
After CCL next year, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it. I think I think really, like, looking at it, I know the quote, what he said. I'm surprised I didn't hear any reports, so I'm curious where those reports were coming from. But yeah, I think it's one of those. If he can do another year of this, 100%, I think he's out the door. I think Kai is the only one who realistically is gone this offseason. But in the winter of 2023 and 2024, I'm not saying it could be a fire sale, but there could be a few big Union transfers if things hold. So we'll see.
I wouldn't make a lot of money, man.
Next year. Gostek absolutely could command. You will absolutely get your investment back, especially because he's become a mainstay now for the national team, and the Hungarian national team is really starting to be dangerous in UEFA. I think they handled England and Italy and Germany pretty well. So I really do think they are the team to watch out for in Europe for the next cycle.
Okay. All right, real quick. Let's get to lineup predictions here. Let's do the permanent marker first. Andre Blake.
Yeah, we're gonna need that soundboard written in permanent ink. Andre Blake.
The back line gets interesting for the fact that you don't know what we're going to do right back. Obviously, Wagner, Elliot Glesnes, but do we go with Bizo or do we go Harriel?
I think for the purposes of getting forward, I think you do Bizo. Like, I think on the road, obviously you would probably do Nate defensively.
Yeah,
but I think Bizo's defensive game has gotten a little better. Like, it's gotten better than it has been, and he is quick enough to recover. He hasn't been as bad about, like, sometimes his issue was being too close to to the center back and kind of allowing that space. But he's been pretty good about that this year. And I think in terms of getting forward, I think in terms of abusing the the space that Cincinnati is going to provide, I think Bizo definitely fits in that overlap, and especially if you have Jack McGlynn playing, Jack McGlynn can pick out Bizo on those runs. So I think it's going to be Bizo.
Here's the thing, though. If you put in Bizo in there, there's not much defense going on that right-hand side of the pitch, and Barreal is a solid. I mean, he showed some speed and some pace against us this season. So that would be my main concern. That's why I'm going Harriel in this spot. But I could obviously see Jim go with Bizo. But that's definitely something I'm going to be looking at in this matchup here. In the midfield, I guess since no Alley, we're playing Jack, everything else the same. Leon at the left, Brujo at the 6, Jack at the right, Daniel at the tip.
Yeah, I wouldn't see any reason why not. I think that's been your go-to, and that's been a midfield that, especially if you can get 60 to 65 out of Jack to leave Alley, maybe 25 minutes or so. I think that's what you'll do, and at that point, yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable midfield, and I think you would say, oh, what about your defensive issue? Well, Leon can cover a lot of ground, and Jack's not as bad defensively as people think he is. Like, he's not quicker, but he definitely can do the defensive work. So yeah, I think that's definitely gonna be in the midfield for tomorrow.
Okay. And of course, Carranza and Ua as the forwards, and Justin, they should have a match. They really should.
I genuinely think they should absolutely have the lion's share of chances between the two of them. Carranza getting in the dirty areas, Uwa being able to get in behind and link up. It really, I think that front three should be better than Cincinnati's front three tomorrow.
Let me ask you something. Tomorrow, the philosophy. Obviously, things can change in 90 minutes, but would you want them for majority of the match to play with the possession or to play typical Union soccer?
Well, see, I think that's an interesting question, because typically Union soccer at this point in the season has been possessing the ball.
Really has.
Like they're not really that same counterattacking team that they were. They can burn you on the counter. That is not out of the question, and that's been the situation all year. But the difference is this year, you actually have the skill to be able to break teams down who are playing in that low block. So I really think tomorrow, early on, I think you want to establish possession. I think you really want to,
I agree.
take it to Cincinnati and really dictate the tempo. Because if you allow that Cincinnati team to get, allow Lucho time to really get himself into the game, the Union defense will be scrambling. And I don't see Jim looking at that and going, yeah, I just want to play without the ball. It's like he's been learning to play with the ball the second half of the year, and it's worked better. I mean, at this point, you were in the last 13 games, you were 11-2. You went a run of 11-2. Like, I think it shows that your philosophy has worked, especially at home. And I wouldn't see why you would. At this point, why would you defer from what's been working so well the second half of the year?
Yeah, I kind of want to just send the message right away, and just kind of just put it right that just dominate from the jump. And I think
I mean, if the Union score a goal within the first 10 minutes, do you think that changes how Pat Noonan really addresses the game and really brings it to Philly? Because I think if the Union get that first goal right within that first 15-20 minutes, I think that could change how Cincinnati goes about it.
Could be. It could very, very well be as well. As far as subs go, the usuals: Corey, Quinn, Paxton. Can we see all three? Maybe someone else.
I think Corey Burke has absolutely. He's been a super sub in every sense of the word. Bringing him on in that 65th, 70th minute and telling him to just run and hassle the back line and create chances. He has been a workhorse for this team. That's the reason why you were able to give up Sergio Santos. Like, that was the exact reason, was because Corey Burke was playing well in that role. And Sergio Santos was just getting hurt too much to do that. And it is what it is at this point. Corey Burke is the super sub this year. Like, I think he's the best Union super sub that we've had at this point. And I'm okay with that. Having a guy like that coming off the bench is a pretty good option.
How dare you slander El Senior Justin? Boo you. Andre Blake, goalkeeper of the year, as he deserves. Damn right, Ryan. Damn right. Union 100% favorites here, but this many ex-Union players on Cincy makes me nervous. We lose to a BS Sergio Santos tap-in, and I might lose.
I mean, that would involve Sergio Santos scoring the goal. Like,
no. That would involve Sergio Santos actually staying on the pitch for
and also like he'd be a sub at that point. At that point, I don't see. Listen, I mean, ex-Union players. It's what, 3? Like, that's it.
We're lucky Harris is retired last time we played them.
Like, it's right now it's 3 players, a coach, and a GM. Like, unless Chris Albright and Pat Noonan are shooting up on the field, I'm I'm not all like. Yeah, I definitely think people. Again, people are just people are just getting. I've definitely worked up about all this. All the, like I don't know. It's just blowing my mind. People were getting this worked up about a Cincinnati team. Like, hey, let's not forget that they're the 3-time wooden spoon winners, and they've had a pretty good year. But they're like they're still susceptible, and they're still a team that the Union should be able to beat. In the day, they should be able to beat them at home at the Stoop, which will be rocking tomorrow. I don't see a reason why the Union should lose.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, listen, I get what happened in the regular season, but I mean that's just the regular season. Like I don't get the whole scared approach going in Cincinnati. Listen, I tweeted it out. I think Cincinnati's gonna win, and I want Cincinnati, and we got that. We got that. We have a song for Brujo Martinez. El Brujo Martinez, que loco que estás. That's actually from Venezuela. They would sing that at Zula. So that is actually factual. Justin, let's get that prediction, sir. What do you think happens tomorrow night? Union, Cincinnati.
It's gonna be a gritty one. It's gonna be down and dirty. It is gonna be a hell of an affair. Both teams will absolutely trade chances. I said it wouldn't be more than a 2-goal margin. I can't even see it being a 2-goal margin. I'm predicting Union 2-1. I think the Union jump on the board first. They get one in the first half, and then Cincinnati ties it as they might in the early in the second half, and then the Union pull out a bit of magic, playoff magic, as they have in the past, and that moment of brilliance that comes out from any one player. We've seen it all over. It's come from various people. I think the Union pull out 2-1.
I'm going right there. I'm going right there. I got 3-1. I agree with you. I do think you can get one in the first half, somewhere around like the 34th minute, right in that range. And then the second half, I think Cincinnati start off with the foot on the gas pedal, catch the Union off guard a little bit. They get one back. And I think around like late in the 70th minute, they get one. And then for shits and giggles, they add a third one off of a Cincinnati mistake, because at that point they just lost it. They lost it. The soup's going wild. Justin's throwing his jersey on the pitch. He's going bananas. Keystone State Ultras going bananas. Sons of Ben going bananas. Adam Booth is twerking in the Capo stand. Tomorrow's gonna be fun, dude. I'm so excited. Playoff soccer. We've been through this a couple times now. It brings something out of me, and I'm gonna be right there with Tim and Justin tomorrow. We're gonna be right at 139. I'm going to be doing the waterworks. It's tough for me not to get emotional for Union soccer these days, because, Justin, where we were 5 years ago. I never thought that we would get to this point. So every time I stand in those pregame ceremonies, I just have to cry, because it's just a very, very, very emotional moment for me, because I fucking love this club, and I'm so proud, no matter what happens tomorrow, where we've come. Dude, we're respected in our city. We're respected nationwide and worldwide as a soccer club, and I never thought that we'd get to this point. So win or lose, I bleed the blue and gold. I love this team. I love you guys listening. I love Justin, Tim, Zach, everyone at PSN, and let's just have fun tomorrow. Let's show Philly how we do playoffs, because there's a lot of that love going on right now in Philadelphia, Justin.
Yeah, I'm excited. We've come a long way from the early years, and it's been a long struggle. And as I always say,
from the waste management commercials.
Yeah, I don't get too high or too low, because I know where we've been and I know where we can go. I just enjoy the moment, and I hope to see a lot of people there. I'll be right in 139. If you want to rob my big bald head for good luck, as people seem to do from time to time, go right for it. It's brought more luck than it's been worth. So I can't wait to see to see everyone in the Stoop tomorrow. It is gonna be absolutely insane.
If you're not ready to get wild, then don't show up, guys. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah. If you're not
Playoffs.
prepared to take your shirt off for this team, what are you even doing? Like,
If you're not ready to skinny dip in the Delaware River, then what? I'm just kidding.
I mean, listen. Let's not advise that. You know, we don't know what is in the Delaware in this section of the Delaware. Maybe not advise that. You know, let's
We're sending
let's
people to
slow that
hospitals out here. Awesome stuff. Guys, it's going to do it for another episode of Duke by the River. We're hoping that we are back next week previewing another matchup here for the Philadelphia Union. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit the like button for more live viewings of Duke by the River. Make sure you subscribe wherever you stream podcasts. We're available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Find us under Duke by the River podcast. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, that you much for watching. Of course, is Justin, SB member at large elect Friedberg. Of course, I go by the name of El Parcero Philly. We're telling you guys to do bomb and beat Cincinnati.